Hi, a very good morning. I am Lakshminarayana Gunta, PGT in Zoology at APMS and Junior College Karavanja, and also working as NEET Super 60 Zoology faculty at Duppalvalsa, Srikakulam. Today, in our segment, we are going to discuss the structure of a nephron. The nephrons, they are the structural and functional units of a kidney. These nephrons, also called as uriniferous tubules, they are the morphological and physiological units of a kidney. These nephrons, they eliminate the waste, particularly the nitrogenous waste from the body. Each nephron consists of a renal corpuscle, which is also called as the Malpighian body, and a renal tubule. Okay, each nephron consists of a renal corpuscle and a renal tubule. The renal corpuscle, in turn, it consists of a Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus. This is a cup-like structure. This cup-like structure is called as Bowman's capsule, and this bunch of blood capillaries is called as the glomerulus. Okay. And the second part of a nephron is the renal tubule. This renal tubule is again having the proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule, and also it consists of the Henle's loop. This one is the proximal convoluted tubule and this one is the distal convoluted tubule. Connecting this proximal convoluted tubule and distal convoluted tubule, a hairpin shaped structure called as the loop of Henle or Henle's loop. These all are the parts of renal tubule. Let us now move to the renal corpuscle or the Malpighian body. This Malpighian body or the renal corpuscle, it is composed of a Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus, which is a capillary network. Okay, this renal corpuscle or the Malpighian body, it is absent in marine fishes and desert amphibians. That's why the kidney of these marine fishes and desert amphibians is called as aglomerular kidney. It is an adaptation. This aglomerular kidney is an adaptation to prevent the loss of water. Okay, and ours is a glomerular kidney. Humans kidney is a glomerular kidney, as we have both this Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus. Okay, this Bowman's capsule is a cup-shaped structure and it is having two layers. The two layers are the inner visceral layer and the outer parietal layer. This one is the parietal layer and this one is the visceral layer. This inner layer, it is made up of specialized cells called as podocytes. These podocytes, why they are called as podocytes? Podo means foot and cyte means cell. These cells, they are foot shaped structures. That's why they are called as podocytes. And whereas the outer layer, which is also called as the parietal layer, it is made up of squamous epithelium, a single layered squamous epithelium, simple squamous epithelium. Okay, coming to the second one, that is the glomerulus. Glomerulus, I have already told you, it is a capillary network within the Bowman's capsule, and the blood enters into this Bowman's cup through an afferent arteriole and it exits through an efferent arteriole. Okay, afferent arteriole is wider. You can observe here the afferent arteriole is wider, whereas the efferent arteriole is narrower. Can you guess why this type of arrangement is there in the glomerulus? Yes, you might have seen this type of pipe during a car washing or a bike washing. Here in this pipe, the water flows with moderate speed. But when you observe at the nozzle, the water is pumped with high force, high pressure. Exit of the pipe is very narrow. All this water it has to be let out through this small nozzle, small opening. That's why there is a lot of pressure in this within the pipe. Suppose if we prick the pipe with a small needle, the water it forcibly comes out from this pipe. Okay, the same principle is involved in the Malpighian body also. Okay, the afferent arteriole is wider, whereas the efferent arteriole is narrower. Because of this type of arrangement, the blood which comes into the glomerulus through this afferent arteriole through a wider pipe, and the same blood it has to move out through this efferent arteriole. Whereas the exit pipe is narrow, what happens? Automatically the blood exerts more pressure on the glomerulus. That's why the blood is filtered. Okay, we will learn about all these things in the mechanism of urine formation. Okay, let us observe the functional structure of a glomerulus. This one is the glomerulus, and this one is the Bowman's capsule, and this one is the visceral layer, which is made up of podocytes, and this one is the basement membrane, which is present in between the glomerulus and the visceral layer. Okay, the blood which is brought into the glomerulus through the afferent arteriole, it has to cross all these three layers. What are they? Let us observe. This one is the endometrium of the blood capillary. This is the capillary, and this one is the endometrium of that capillary. Okay, the cells in the endometrium, they have small gaps. These gaps, they are called as fenestrations. The gaps, those are present between the cells of the endometrial wall, are called as fenestrations. And the blood, it has to further pass through the basement membrane. This basement membrane I already told you, which is present in between the capillary and the visceral layer. Okay, and this is the basement membrane. Okay, and further the blood has to pass the visceral layer. This one is the visceral layer, and these cells, the foot shaped cells, they are called as podocytes, and these cells, they also have some gaps in between them. These gaps, they are called as slit pores or the filtration slits. This type of arrangement is there at the Malpighian body. Okay, the inner visceral layer, it consists of specialized cells called as podocytes, and these podocytes here and there, they have some gaps called as filtration slits or slit pores, and the middle layer is called as the basement membrane, and the endothelium of the glomerulus, which is made up of simple squamous epithelial cells. These cells also, they have some gaps called as fenestrations. Okay, and the wall of the afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole, they have specialized cells called as juxtaglomerular cells. Juxtaglomerular cells. These cells, they are responsible for the production of renin. This renin is very much essential in controlling the blood pressure. Okay, and coming to the next one, the tubular epithelium of the convoluted tubule is modified to form a dense mass of cell called as macula densa. And at the angles of the afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole, there are specialized cells called as Lassis cells. Lassis cells. These juxtaglomerular cells, macula densa and Lassis cells, they together called as the juxtaglomerular apparatus. We will learn about the juxtaglomerular apparatus in our next segment. Okay, the juxtaglomerular cells, the macula densa and the Lassis cells, they are collectively called as the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay, this finishes the renal corpuscle. Let us now move to the renal tubule. Renal tubule, already I have told you that it is made up of three tubes: the proximal convoluted tubule, the distal convoluted tubule, and the loop of Henle. Coming to the first one, the proximal convoluted tubule, it is the first region of the renal tubule. This one is called as the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal means near. It is near to the Bowman's capsule. That's why it is called as proximal. As it is coiled or looped, that's why it is called as convoluted. That's why it is called as proximal convoluted tubule. The length of this proximal convoluted tubule is 14 millimeters, and from here it starts the proximal convoluted tubule. This one we already have learned that it is the Malpighian body. This one is the Malpighian body, and from here onwards the proximal convoluted tubule starts. Okay, the wall of the proximal convoluted tubule is made up of single layer of cuboidal epithelium. These cube-shaped cells, they are also provided with numerous microvilli with brush border. Microvilli we already have learned in our digestive system. Villi, finger-like projections. What is the use of these microvilli? These microvilli, they increase the surface area so that more number of mitochondria are present inside these cells. That's why they can provide more energy for active transport. Okay, The proximal convoluted tubule, it is provided with cuboidal epithelial cells with numerous breast border microvilli. Coming to the second part of the renal tubule, that is the loop of Henle or Henle's loop. This loop of Henle or Henle's loop is the second region of the renal tubule, and it is U-shaped or hairpin shaped structure. It connects the proximal convoluted tubule with that of the distal convoluted tubule, and they are dipped into the medulla. The primary role of these loops of Henle is to maintain the concentration of salts in the body. Okay. The cortex region, it has the Bowman's capsule, the glomerulus, the proximal convoluted tubule, and the distal convoluted tubule. All these, they are present in the cortex region, whereas the loop of Henle, it is present in the medullary region. Okay. This loop of Henle, it consists of a descending limb and an ascending limb. This descending limb, it is thin, and the walls of this descending limb, they are made up of squamous epitheliums. And this descending limb, it is freely permeable to water. Means the water can easily pass through this descending limb. Okay. Whereas the ascending limb, it is thicker than the descending limb, and it is impermeable to water and permeable to sodium ions, chloride ions, potassium ions. Okay. Means sodium, potassium and chloride ions, they can easily pass through this membrane. And whereas the walls of this ascending limb, they are made up of flattened cuboidal epithelial cells. This descending limb, it is freely permeable to water, whereas the ascending limb, it is impermeable to water. Okay. And this ascending limb, it is further divided into thin ascending limb and thick ascending limb. We will discuss the role of these limbs in our next segment. And coming to the last part of the renal tubule, that is the distal convoluted tubule. This one is the distal convoluted tubule. It is the third region of the renal tubule, and distal means distance, away, as it is away from the Malpighian body or Bowman's capsule, it is called as distal. As it is having number of coils, that's why it is called as distal convoluted tubule. And the walls of this distal convoluted tubule, they are made up of cuboidal cells with a few small and irregularly spaced microvilli. These microvilli, they don't have any brush border. I have already told you that in the proximal convoluted tubule, there are numerous microvilli with brush border, whereas here in this distal convoluted tubule, very few and small microvilli with no brush border, means without brush border, okay na? And this distal convoluted tubule, it leads into a small collecting tubule. These small collecting tubules, they form into larger collecting tubules, and these larger collecting tubules, they all form into a collecting duct. These collecting duct, from each pyramid, they open into ducts of Bellini. These ducts of Bellini, they open into the cup-shaped renal calyx, and finally they open into the renal pelvis. The funnel shaped structure is called as the renal pelvis. This renal pelvis, it collects the urine from all the ducts of Bellini, Finally, it is collected through the ureter, and these two ureters from both these sides, they are collected into the urinary bladder. From there, it is sent out through the urethra. Okay, in our previous segment, we have missed that the percentage of cortical nephrons is 85%, whereas the percentage of juxtamedullary nephrons is, they are only 15%. We have missed this point in our previous segment. Let us finish this session with a few questions. The first one is, the part of nephron impermeable to water is descending limb of Henle's loop, proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, ascending limb of Henle. What is your option? Right? The ascending limb of Henle is the part of nephron which is impermeable to water. Coming to the next question, juxtaglomerular apparatus contains all the following except? The first one is juxtaglomerular cells, the second one is macula densa, the third one is Lassis cells, and the last one is ducts of Bellini. What is your option? Right? The ducts of Bellini is the right option. Okay, thank you.